Hey guys, this is David. I'm trying to make my first video here for hsng.com. To tell you a bit about myself, I've been playing Heads Up Singles for I think 1.5 years. I guess I took them seriously at that point in time. And now I'm playing I think between 30s and 100s with the occasional shot at bigger heads up tournaments when, you know, scoop, F-tops or whatever comes up. Here I recorded a session I played at the $30 level against someone I have played before, but not for too many hands, I guess. And yeah, I guess we'll just jump right into it, and then we'll see how it went. Alright, I think it's a pretty standard call here with A10. Flop's not ideal to do anything but check fold, I think. Here my HUD pops up. I just stopped the video for a sec. My HUD is not like the Cavier HUD or anything. I think it's very self-explanatory because I added prefixes to pretty much anything. I got some stats on this guy, and what really sticks out here is his fold to turn barrel, because he doesn't like to call turn barrels at all. Another thing that kind of sticks out, I guess, is his fold to 3-bet and 4-bet percentage. With those numbers, you can adjust your 3-betting and 4-betting ranges accordingly, which means this guy is folding 67% of the time to 3-bets and 4-betting 20%, which means that he has a very narrow range to flat 3-bets in position. So if he doesn't flat many 3-bets, our 3-betting range from the big blind should be very polarized, which means that we should have hands that we can easily 3-bet fold or 3-bet call, but really not much in between, because he's not going to flat much and we don't have to play too many pots in a 3-bet pot out of position against him. So yeah, we should just keep that in mind, and that's what I try to do in this video, to keep my ranges accordingly. I will be playing extremely aggressively against this guy, but I think with the right read that he folds a lot, this is definitely a good approach. So let's just continue. I opened ace king here with no call. Yeah, exactly. This is just the hand that I'm talking about here. I would, against a bunch of opponents, I would definitely 3-bet this hand for value, but against this guy, I think it puts me in a lot of shitty spots because he's going to 4-bet a lot or fold, which is not ideal with this hand. So I think it plays a lot better when we flat against him. So we go ahead and flat. On this flop, I could check raise occasionally, get some equity with my overcards, but I decided not to in this spot. I open 9-5, we flop a gutter with no showdown value, so I'm going ahead and bet. He calls pretty quickly. On this turn card, I think that we should keep barreling. The problem with this turn card and my barreling frequency is, however, that if we barrel, I think we should almost always barrel 3 times if we get call on the turn. This is just because I think you will call like a queen 10 type of hand, like a 10 with a gutter, or maybe even 10-8 for another barrel on the turn. But it's going to be extremely tough for him to call on the river, as it is kind of with the jack, because my range is completely uncapped when I barrel 3 times here. I am going to have some bluffs in my range, obviously, but I'm going to have every single value combo as well, and it makes it very tough for him if I fire 3 times here. If I fire pretty big, his life's going to be hell on the river, and he has just to play a guessing game. I don't think that if we bet the ace, the turn ace, that we can check back on the river. I think this is just burning money because he has very few aces in his calling range, and I think we can get him off so much, but we have to fire 3 times because he's not going to fold many jack X, if any, to turn barrel, and same goes for 10x, I guess. And we have to just fire 3 times here. If we fire twice, it's just burning money. So I went ahead and bet pretty big on the turn. And on the river, I bet really, really big again. But I think I kind of have to in this spot, just because it's he's going to hero me with a bunch of stuff if I make it smaller, I believe. Yeah. We open king 4, we make a standard c-bet, as I would do with my entire range on this flop. On the turn, we choose the exact same sizing we chose before, with our value hand. And on the river, we choose the exact same sizing again. This is just, I think, standard. I think we should be playing this hand just in no other way when we played the hand before that way. It doesn't really change much in his calling range, I assume, because the thing is, if he has a jack here, he's not, I don't think the size we choose is going to affect his calling range all that much. If he's going to call me with queen jack here, he is going to call 350, but he's also going to call 460 in my opinion. I don't think it changes much. Obviously, he's never folding queen 10, but it's unlikely that he has it. He might fold a 9 to a bigger sizing that he would fold to a smaller sizing. However, I don't see too many 9s in his check calling range on the flop. So I think what we're trying to get here is a hero call from something. And if he wants to hero call me, he will do so with a jack. He will occasionally do so with ace 10 as well. But it doesn't really, his calling range is not really affected by my bet sizing. So I'm going to go big here and hope to get called. However, he tanks for quite a while, I believe, and then decides to let his hand go. Didn't really want to spoiler, but that's what happened. I like this hand here to make a light 3-bet, as I said. It's kind of like the bottom of my calling range. With the game flow, however, I think I'll get jammed on pretty frequently because I've been running him over so much that he will be 4-betting a tad lighter. 7-10 is a standard flat against this player. Now, I think flop is a very easy check call. However, the turn changes things a bit. Now, he does barrel turn a bit, and if he barrels turn, the problem I have here is if he barrels turn, as you can see here, if he barrels on the turn, he's barreling on the river 100% of the time, which is very annoying actually, because then we have a pretty easy folio with 10-7 without club. We can definitely put that in our flop check calling range, and on this turn we can safely fold because we don't want to call 3-bets here with middle pair, no kicker. Plus we are probably going to have to fold on any club river, and there's going to be a lot of nasty cards in there, so I think we can safely fold here. As much as I like calling, I think we have to fold. We open 3-4 flop, pretty big again. And we make a standard c-bet that he is not very likely to be folding to ever. And then we make our big size turn bet again. And yeah, I think the hand plays itself. I chose the same sizing again. I think what we can gather from that now is that he will call flop and turn somewhat light, I guess, but he is going to play pretty straightforward on the river when he folds here. It's just going to be kind of a game where we can play, if we play 2 streets aggressively and have bluffs, we almost always have to fight 3 times against him. If we don't fight 3 times, we're just burning money because he's going to call flop and turn somewhat often, but on the river he is going to fold a lot, as his stats indicate. Yes, folding to c-bet 33% of the time, folding turn barrels 33% of the time, but on the river he's folding 100% of the time so far, which is definitely something we should think about when we barrel him. On blind scope, we get pretty decent hand. Uh, yeah. I think we could also flat this, however, because he folds so much to 3-bets, but I think this is okay. And yeah, this flop is kind of annoying because it's so tough for him to have anything, but we can't really check either, so we'll just go ahead and bet and take it down. Not much we can do there, I guess. Here, this is actually an interesting spot because he's been opening frequently here, and I think the way the match has been playing, I've been completely running him over, kind of god moding him, which is why I assume that if we 3-bet in this spot again, we are going to get a bunch of light 4-bets. He has the ideal stack to 4-bet, shove, and he's going to do so because we have been 3-betting 40% of hands now, which is a ton, and I think he will realize this and just get fed up and jam worse for value here. So I think in this spot with the game flow, I think we have a pretty easy 3-bet call here. So went ahead and 3-bet, and then already had the mouse over the call button and called, and we got in pretty good here, which is exactly what I was looking for. Unfortunately, we chopped this pot, but yeah, I think you get the idea. The thing is just we have to widen our 3-bet calling range when the game flow is that aggressive. This is something that I think people transitioning from 15s, 30s, and higher don't really do. They just keep their somewhat standard ranges there when they can adjust and make a lot of money by 3-bet calling somewhat lighter than usual. In this spot, I think as gross as it is, because we have such a pretty hand, we can't really call here. Yes, 26 big blinds to start the hand, and with King Jack suited, we are just never gonna get it in ahead of his range here. So I think we just have to fold here, which is what I did. Hopefully I did. I got some notes on him. Obviously, they're in German, so I'm going to translate it. It says that he always bets really big when he bets, and that he tanked a second before check raising on the flop once. All his other decisions come pretty much immediately, but there he tanked a bit, which is good to know. Here I don't see a whole lot of reason to bet, which is why I check back. And same goes for turn. I could get some value from 6x. I don't think he has a pocket pair there like ever, because he would get this in pre-flop. So I think I don't see a whole lot of reason to bet here. We can check back if he has 10-9, I mean weaker 10s. We can get some river on the value on the river, but all in all, I think this is a spot to check twice and then get some value on the river. He leads into us on the river. Now the question is how much to raise. I kind of want to make it small here to give him the illusion that I could occasionally be bluffing, and he could call me with 2 pair that he somehow has in the spot. Although I think there are very few combos. However, I think jamming kind of gives our hand away, because we will probably never jam as a bluff there, because it's just retarded. We can lay ourselves a better price. So I'll go ahead and make it 200, and he jams, we call and chop the pot, obviously. But I think we should keep in mind that jamming is pretty pointless there. I flat 8-5 suited, and I think this is a pretty decent board to check raise on. We can't check call, however, I think we can hit this board pretty hard with our big blind calling range here. And I think with his stack size, he's going to play pretty straightforward against our check raise. So we don't have to check raise big here. We can make it 160 and expect to get a lot of folds, because as I said, we smashed this board and he is probably not going to continue with a very wide range here. And again, he tanks quite a bit, and eventually I hope he folds. He does, which is Good result. I fold 3-7 offsuit here. I could have min-raised, I could even limp this, but I decided not to. As you see, I get a bit near with my 3-betting once we are at this shell, because I think he will just 4-bet the shit out of me, which would suck, so just tighten up quite a bit. I don't think we can ever jam this against someone who only opens 68% of hands from the button. I was considering folding here, but then again, I think he's going to pretty much jam or fold here. He's not going to flat much at the stack depth, so I think opening Jack 4 there is fine. Obviously jamming over his min raised with ace-9 suited. Same goes for 5-4. Let me pause the video for a sec. I think this would have played better as a min raise fold. I like the thing about limping, especially the first limp, is usually it's not very strong hand, because you would just like from a logical standpoint you would just like to min raise your strong hands and then have your limping range with somewhat middle-ish type of hands that you want to see flops within position. Given the game flow that has been really aggressive, and that him wanting to steal pots from me here and there with all-ins pre-flop, I think this is not a great spot to limp here. I think we should just min-raise fold this and limp something else that we could induce something with the limp. However, I don't think we should have a limping range against this guy at all. And I think this is a mistake I made here by limping. I think he just plays very straightforward against our min raises, so why should we have a limping range against him when we pick up so many chips by keeping min raising the shit out of him? So yeah, obviously I fold. When he limps here, I am going to just jam this in. I think this is profitable. I don't think he's going to trap me here with some weird metagame. Yeah, ace-10 suited is a very, very standard min-raise call at 16 big blinds. We get it in bad, but managed to bink, which is always cool. And I think we got a rematch, which is good. We definitely have a good grasp of his game now, know his leaks. Obviously, we have been god-moding him quite a bit in the first match, but yeah. This is, I think, a very good hand to 3-bet him with. Definitely the absolute bottom of my calling range, probably even the top of my folding range, I guess. So I think this plays very well against a guy with his stats as a 3-bet. And we get called here. Now, on this flop, my plan is just to bet fold. I don't think there's really much I can do. I can obviously barrel if we are getting called on certain runouts, which I'd probably do, or do some other stuff, check raise turns, whatever, depending on what the runout is. However, if we bet here and get raised, I would very easily fold this hand. We don't have to c-bet too big here, I think, and we get a snap fold, which is good. This is again, same reasoning. It plays worse post flop obviously, but I don't think we get into too many post flop spots out of position and 3-bet pots against him anyway, so I think this is an okay hand. This is definitely a flat. I did flat, and we flopped pretty big here. We flopped the joint, and when he c-bets this board, I don't think he will c-bet his. I think he'll check back a lot because it smashes my range so bad. However, he's been c-betting 86%, so this is a very, very big number. And maybe he does c-bet his ace-jack type of hands here as well. I think there's a lot of value to be had against his draws, his 7x, 10x, and so on and so on. So I went ahead and check raised here. A big sizing, but I don't think it matters all that much. I kind of want to have a bigger sizing because as before, I don't think it changes his calling range all that much in this flop because there are tons of draws, and if he has a made hand, he's probably going to call. This is again 7 deuce suited. I would tend to 3-bet here. However, I should keep my frequencies in check a bit, and I've been 3-betting so much against him that I think folding occasionally might be a decent play as well. Definitely not going to a 3-bet ace deuce here. I think this is a very good flat. On the flop, I was considering my options really. I think we could occasionally turn our hand somewhat into a bluff, a semi-bluff, and check raise flop, but especially against someone who barrels quite a bit. Because we can't really call multiple barrels, and might even be better. I thought that on this texture, once I check call flop, I think he will give up on a bunch of turn cards, just because when I check call this flop, I have the stuff that he's trying to fold out on the turn would be something like ace 3, ace 5, ace 6, ace 7, all those ace x hands. But other than that, I think it's going to be really tough for him to fold anything out, and I get to showdown quite a bit. Excuse me. Yeah, on the river I don't see any value in betting. I think he could be pot controlling on the turn with something. And we have the best hand, fortunately. We open ace 3. I don't see a whole lot of reason to bet here. I think, yeah, with ace high and a gutter, I think this plays better as a check back here. It's tough for us to fold. It's pretty much the same spot reverse that we had before. It's kind of tough for us to fire multiple barrels here into him on a board that somewhat hits his range. Better than it does hit ours, so I think checking and kind of pot controlling here, trying to get the showdown cheaply is best. On the turn, I make a somewhat loose call. I believe I was thinking about it a second, and I think in retrospect I don't really like this call. He has to be bluffing pretty often, or just like semi-bluffing with something like 8-9 a lot, and even then if he has like 8-9 with a heart, he has a lot of equity against my ace high. So yeah, I don't really like my call in retrospect. I think on this board we can just safely fold. I was probably thinking that I could take it away on some rivers. If he has like 6x, I can maybe take it away on the river, although I think that's quite a bit ambitious. And yeah, I went ahead and called, and I think got lucky on the river. Don't see a reason to bet here ever. He's going to fold all worse and call with all flushes, so yeah. This is again a hand that I would have 3-bet a lot if my frequencies weren't so crazy at the moment with him, me 3-betting so much. I think king 4 suited plays well as a flat. On the flop, I think all options are valid. We could check raise, we could check call, so if we don't fold, we can't make too many mistakes. The thing about we have such a strong hand here, and if he has an ace, or let's say if he has the top of his range here, we're going to get money in a lot. However, when we check call on this flop, we kind of under rep our hand, if you want to say it that way. I think he assumes that once we check call flop, we're going to give up a lot of turns because we can't have strong ace x in our range. So he's going to barrel quite a bit, which he does anyways. And I think we can pretty safely check call flops and turns and then decide on the river depending on what he does. But probably calling off a lot here. So I went ahead and check call flop, and we hit a pretty fortunate turn card. Again, the question here is now whether we want to check call or check raise. I think when we check raise here, it looks really awkward. I think if we wanted to check raise our draws, I think we would do this on the flop. We don't rep much by check raising turn, and he might even occasionally hero fold like small ace X here, because it looks so weird what we do here. However, the thing that made me call here again, which I think is by far the better play, is his barreling frequencies. Once he barrels turn, he always barrels on the river. So I think we should be check calling turn and river now, rather than do something stupid and just check raise here and fold out all of his bluffs. So I went ahead and called here, and then call pretty much any river, and he bets again pretty big. We snap call, and he shows jack 6. So that's definitely what I was looking for. I wanted to get it in. I wanted to keep him let him keep bluffing, and which is what he did. Here we limp again, and this is a weird hand. This is a very weird hand. I limp. I thought that at this point he's going to jam a lot over my min raise, which might or might not be true. However, I would like to see flops in position with jack 9. I take a pretty standard stab here on the flop. I think I can get some queen X to fold out, maybe even some king X that he's not going to call with, and I can bet some turn cards. Now he check calls flop, which is weird for a couple of reasons. One is he could have 4x, which would make sense to check call, I guess. He could have 3x, which would also make sense to check call, because it's tough for me to have anything really. What I think he cannot really have here is a draw, like a 5-6, 5 deuce, 7-5, all that stuff, ace 5, because all ace 6 I think he would jam pre-flop. Now I don't think he can have those draws, just because I think he would rather want to check raise on the flop and get it in, because he has a lot more equity on the flop, and he has a very shallow stack, so it would make sense for him to just check raise. So I think his range for getting to the turn is more weighted towards made hands, even though I know that there aren't that many. But it's very weird what happens on the turn, because now I pick up a 9 and I bet for value, and I get check raised very small. This is a spot where that doesn't come up all that often, so I don't really think it matters all that much what you do here, really. I don't think this happens often enough to really care about it all that much. I made a very exploitable fold here in my opinion, but I just think he has a 3 here more often than anything, because you wouldn't check raise a 4 on this turn card. It wouldn't make sense like ever. And he would probably, if he has a draw like a 5-7 of hearts or something that he didn't want to check raise flop with, he would probably just check jam here to get me off ace high and 4x and whatnot. So I think, yeah, let me know what you think about this fold, but I kind of thought that it is a weird hand, and I just wanted to get away from it. So I tanked a bit. I was just really baffled by his check raise here. I didn't expect it at all. Because it makes so little sense, but I went ahead and made the hero fold. We raise and we get jammed on. I don't think we can call this at 23 big blinds. King 8 offsuit. He's just not jamming enough there. We flat ace 4. I think we could 3-bet and call off. We could 3-bet jam. Actually, I don't think we can 3-bet call here, because our hand plays very terrible post flop, and we just should be getting it in pre-flop if we do something. However, I think he has a stack depth that's slightly too deep to just outright jam. He's not opening such a high percentage really. So I think, and especially I like having some ace X in my flatting range at the stack depth, like 20 to 25 big blinds, because people don't really put you on ace X a lot, because most people just get this in pre-flop at the stack depth. So I kind of like having this in my calling range. we flop middle pair, we go ahead and check call, backdoor flush draw, which should be pretty standard. On the turn, he checks back, and we river 2 pair. My reasoning at the time, I checked the river to him. Yeah, I checked the river. My reasoning at this time was that once he checks back turn, I assume that he has some sort of showdown value, which means some high cards, I guess. He can have a 9 because he would barrel this. He can't really have a 6 because he can and would be barreling this as well. He might occasionally have a 4, but that's really about it. And apart from that, I think he's just going to have overcards. Overcards connect pretty well with the ace on the river, so I think I can get in a check raise against his overcards, as well as if he has something like King 8 or something, then he might just think that this is a great card to get me off 4x or 6x or whatever, and decide to bluff it. So my plan was to check jam on the river, because I think this is a good card to do it. He will view it as a bluff card, or if he has it, he might just go ahead and bet himself and never fold. Unfortunately, he checks back, so I look stupid, I guess. He has King 10, which I guess makes sense in this spot. Here we open ace jack and obviously have a pretty easy open call. You kind of hit a king now and we win. Yeah, that was that. Yeah, I think I accepted, but I got declined, unfortunately. So yeah, this was my first video. I really hope you guys like it. Please leave some feedback somewhere. Contact me on 2+2 as well if you want to. I'm David with 2 I's there, David, and yeah, thanks for watching.